Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel, a podcast where I get to dive deep into the journeys of real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business owners, and just movers and shakers that are making really cool waves in the industry. So, whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a real estate investor, or just somebody who's looking to level up their game, make some more impact in their lives, you've come to the right place. I'm Nathaniel Hovsepian. I'm a real estate investor, an entrepreneur, a husband, and a father. I've done millions of dollars in real estate transactions over my career. I've helped other people do the same, but this isn't about me. This is about our guest today, who I look forward to introducing just a second. Before we do that, if you're new here, and you enjoy the show, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button so we can reach more people. Don't be that person that, kind of stumbles upon a $20 bill and just walks past it without putting it in their pocket. Without further ado, I'd like to invite our guest to the stage and welcome at Uncle Bill Buys Houses, Will Galloway, a husband, a father, somebody who's surpassed some trials and tribulations in his life and has gone on to do some amazing things. I look forward to talking about that and more with you. I appreciate you being here. How you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm
Yeah.
grateful. Again, thank you again for the invite. I look forward to having a great call with you today.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, man. I know you've got a lot of things going on. You're very busy. And so, taking time out of your schedule to come on networking with Nathaniel, especially live like this, where it's like, hey, this is when we do it, make it work. So I appreciate that. Would you kind of just let the audience know a little bit about what's keeping you busy? What you kind of working on?
Yeah. So again, my name is Will Galloway. Go by at Uncle Bill Buy Houses, and same thing. I'm a God fearing man. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a full time real estate investor. I've been full time since 2013, and I love real estate. I've done pretty much everything from wholesaling, fixing flips. I built a multi-million dollar rental portfolio that I rent all my tenants through Section 8. So and now I'm into the coaching round where I'm actually, teaching people how to do the same thing. My goal is for, people to become financially free through real estate.
Mm, I love it. When we kind of unlock the key, so to speak, into being able to do that, once we reach a certain point, it's like, I got to be given back. I
Right.
like to think you should just be giving back the whole time. And, you know, it's how we can empower those around us because we all want to just win together. So I love that, man. You mentioned wholesaling, flipping. You're also doing, rentals, Section 8 rentals. Are you still doing all of those, or are you just focused on one? What does that look like?
Yeah. I still primarily it's kind of switched because I was like 70 to 80% all wholesaling, but and then I was probably about 30 to 40%, with my rentals and maybe the 15-20% flips. Now it's
Okay.
like with flips, I kind of pick and choose my flips. I kind of, handpick the ones that I want to do. I'm not doing a whole lot of volume at the moment. Probably the majority of my business right now is geared toward just my rentals because I have me and my team self-managing those rentals, and
Mm,
I'm just about basically building more cash flow. And the wholesaling is probably went from 80% to now it's probably about 30 to 40%. So I'll do some
okay.
one-off deals here and there. I got relationships that I've built over the years. So I do deals with some of my still same buyers or wholesalers that I got relationships with. I might do a joint venture or something like that. But I've kind of dialed down my marketing budget, so I used to spend probably 5 to 10,000 a month. Now maybe down to a few $1,000s a month or something at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm not full fledged into it because I want to put more energy into building my portfolio. And then also I want to, focus on, coaching, inspiring investors who trying to get into the game. So I gotta have
Mm,
time for that as well. So that's kind of what my energy is now.
I love that. I definitely want to pick your brain on the coaching. Excuse me. I've been just post nasal drip for a few days, so bear with me on that.
Oh, you
Um,
good.
I want to pick your brain on the coaching for sure. But before we get to that, are you just an I believe you're in Atlanta, correct? And are you still there, Will? Poop. We lost him for a second. We'll see if he comes back.
Somebody called me and it just that's why I hate that I'm not on my laptop, but somebody called me. I tried to turn my cellular data off so it'll block calls from coming in, but somebody called me and it just threw everything off.
It didn't
And I
work.
tried to
Okay.
send them I sent them the voicemail and it still threw everything off. So
Yeah. I
I
gotta make
apologize
like a
for that.
mental note here from 5 minutes to I'm not gonna make a mental note. I'm gonna make an actual note here from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. It's just kind of dead air. Um, I have no idea where we were in the
You
conversation.
asked me something about what markets or something. I think I heard you say
Oh
something
yeah,
about
you're in Atlanta, is that right?
yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Uh-huh.
Is that your market that you're doing your deals in, or are you in other markets as well?
I do virtual wholesaling, so I do multiple markets, but
Okay.
Atlanta is probably my primary market because this is where I started and I'm familiar with, the area and the metro area. So I do a lot of my business here primarily, but I do virtual wholesale and, across the country.
Okay. And are you like born and raised in Atlanta? Is that
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, but I
okay?
moved to Atlanta when I was about 6 years old. So, I mean, I guess I'll say I'm from Atlanta because I
Yeah.
pretty much was raised here since I was, I think I was in
Not
kindergarten
born,
when I
but
moved here.
raised. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was born here,
Yeah.
but I was raised here. Yeah, exactly.
And I know that I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I know you have a history, and we'll call it like being on the streets,
Yeah.
potentially being in in the wrong crowds. How have you? I guess would you just give us a little bit brief background into that, and then I want to know like how the heck do you get out of that and become become successful as you are?
Well, first off, man, thanks for asking about that because I believe that people's story is powerful. I think
Mm,
everybody has a story. Everybody's story is unique. And I think our stories are meant to empower people. So I first commend you for this even bringing it up. But I just think that, we're a product of our environment, whatever we're raised around, whatever we're around, even you hear that to this day as grown-ups, whoever you surround yourself with, that's how you become and that's who you become. So, when I was growing up, unfortunately I was in a single parent household. So it was just my mom raising three kids, and without no father guidance, I just went down the wrong path, start hanging around the wrong people, start doing some of the wrong things. And that led to, just a lot of things, getting to the streets, the hustle life, the street life, living that life throughout my teens. And, again, not having a father figure, not nobody who can point me in the right direction or somebody who can mentor me at a young age. Everybody who was around me around that time, they were, hustlers and, street people. And even I had an older brother, so he was kind of living the same lifestyle. So that was all I seen, and I thought that was all that made sense at the time when it comes to making money, making it fast, making it, trying to hustle your way through everything. And, I just thank God just through growth, through life experiences, and through just challenges and ups and downs of that type of lifestyle. I just knew that there was better. I knew there was more. And I talk to my wife about this all the time. We were just talking about how you can make mistakes, but God knows your heart, And I knew all the time I had a pure heart. I knew I wanted to do better. I just didn't know how, and
mm,
I do thank God that, one, I had a great wife that was able to support me. And also, he just put real estate in front of me. I had no idea what real estate was, but when it came to me, and the first time I got into real estate, I made a mistake. I didn't do it the right way. But the second go round, when it came to me, um, it popped and it worked, and the first time I started fixing flipping, made mistakes. This was back in '07, '08. Got out of that.
gosh.
Yeah, exactly. I had a fix and flip and sold it right before the crash. So I bought the fix and flip in '07. The crash came in '08, but I sold it right before the crash really like hit the fan. Luckily, I
Yeah.
got out of that property. I think I broke even, maybe even lost money on that deal. So that was my introduction to real estate. But at the time, I was like, man, like um, I thought you had to invest money. I thought you had to have credit. And even before that, I was working jobs. Like I worked at Home Depot before. I've done warehouse jobs before. So I was trying to do right. But again, when you living in the street life and you're around that type of environment, it drags you back into it, right?
Yeah.
So, but once I, you know, did that deal in '08, the money that I did get back, because I put a lot of my money into it, the money I did get back, I got into the nightclub business, and this was in Alabama. I have family down there, so I invested into a building. I bought a building cash, and I got into the nightlife, and that ran from like 2010 to 2012. Um, and that business, I once I started running the numbers, I was kind of in the negative, and I was just like,
Mm,
man, like just something just it's just not working. But again, I was just, God is showing me like this is not what you're supposed to be doing, and he confirms like just by failure,
mm,
trials and tribulations. And I just like, man, something got to go. And then one day I just gave that business up, and I was just like stuck, just confused on what I need to be doing. I considered a job again, working a job again. That ended up not working out. And then again, I came across wholesaling, think like everybody else saw one of these videos talking about you can wholesale, you can
mm.
flip houses, no cash, no credit. And again, I thought it was a scam because I had just did a flip project and I had used my credit, I used my cash. So somebody talking about you could do real estate with neither. Again, I didn't believe it.
Mm.
But I saw guys online doing it, and I started digging further into YouTube University. Started, bought me a couple of courses here and there, and I committed myself, man, because at the time I didn't have really no income coming in, and I really my back was against the wall. I had no choice, and I dove deep into it, and luckily I did, man. And even though it took me 9 months to close my first deal, but that first deal, led to now, on this stage here, now owning $1 million portfolio, multi-million-dollar portfolio. And I mean, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Yeah, I love that. That's a lesson for a lot of people out there. I know Yolanda, one of the people that's listening right now, has been working on getting that first deal. Hearing hearing somebody that's as successful as you are now go, it took me 9 months. It
Mm.
it leaves us a little hope that, hey, you know what? If we consistently are putting in the action and we have this long-term vision, these goals that we have, it might take you 9 months. It might take you 18 months. It's not to say that you might not get a deal on your very first call.
Yeah.
It's just rare. Yolanda, did you kind of answered this a little bit? How'd you get introduced to real estate? It sounds like YouTube University was a big influence. Was there any like mentors um, that you had that, getting started? I know you've mentioned other coaching programs and stuff you've been in since, but when you were getting
Yeah.
started.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, of course the mentorship thing, it didn't come to like later on into my career because I've been doing it since 2013. So my
Hmm.
first few years, I don't advise people to do what I did, but my first few years, I was bumping my head trying to figure it out on my own, and I made tons and tons of mistakes. Even that 9 month to my first deal, that was tons and tons of mistakes. And I believe if I had a mentor early on, that 9 months would have probably it would have went to like maybe 3 to 6 months, so
Mm.
I didn't start really getting mentors. I didn't really start getting mentorship till probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now I spend
Wow.
over 6 figures in mentorship,
Yeah.
so I mean that again, somebody thinking 6 figures in mentorship, like, yeah, I done spent that, but that's been over the past 5, 6 years. But that first 7, 8 years, I was just bumping my head trying to figure it out on my own, and I did well, don't get me wrong, but again, a mentor will cut the curve in half from all the mistakes that you'll make trying to figure it out on your own. And I learned that the hard way. So,
Yeah.
but I don't
Like once
regret it
you,
though.
no, you mentioned the past. It's all part of the story. It's all part of the journey, and it gets you to where you are. Maybe if you had done a mentorship or something when you first got started, it would have been bad and it would have soured, who knows? And you would have
Right.
never done another one and you wouldn't be as far as you are now. It's like, once you do it, once you pay for a mentorship or pay for a coaching program or whatever, and it impacts your life, it for me at least, it flipped a switch like, okay, where can I go do that again? And
Right.
where can I go take this person's, 5, 10, 20 years of experience and condense this down for me into 3, 6 months? Like, that's how we accelerate, and that's how we're able to grow at a really rapid pace. Um, you've mentioned your wife a couple times now. When did you meet her in your journey here? Um, you know, she's, it seems like, been an influence of getting you out of that, street hustle mode into, businessman, entrepreneur, coach now?
Yeah, so I opened up the nightclub in 2010, met my wife in 2012. So I ran that for like 2 years. And then once I met her, that's when everything changed. My mindset changed. Um, she was already a successful businesswoman at the time, so she was even helping me at the time with my business with the nightclub. She's the one that even showed me like you're losing on this club, like you want to be here just because of what it is, and you just want to be Mr.
Yeah.
Nightclub, man. But
Yeah.
it was you in a negative, you know what I'm saying? So that already showed me that, hey, this woman got my back. She was kind of showing me the mistakes I'm already making. And then once I made a decision to let the business go, she was even there to just hold me down, until I figured out whatever was next in
Mm.
my life, which became real estate, of course. But that short period of time when I didn't have any income coming in, I mean, she was one holding me down, until I figured my life out, So, everybody don't, it's hard to find somebody that's gonna support you, when you're down. Everybody want to be around when you're up, but when you're down, it's hard to find somebody to support you. And, she was there
Yeah.
for that. And, she didn't sign up for it, but it just happened that way. She met me as a club owner. But, you
Yeah.
know, within a matter of a year, I ended up start losing everything or getting rid of everything and had to figure it out all over again, so,
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
and then
Like
we
when
end up getting
you find the right woman, everything changes.
everything
That was
changes. Yeah.
to this one back here. Oh, you can't see my hand. She's on the couch right here. Yeah.
Everything
She's
changes.
working back there. I I uh I wonder, I don't know if this is something that you've thought about before. Um, what from your time, hustling and living on the streets, have you taken and translated into being a businessman, being an entrepreneur, if anything?
Either say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like is there anything that you learned from being on the streets and being in that hustle, like, life that has translated into being an entrepreneur, being a business owner?
Yeah, I talk about it all the time, even though I hate that period of my life because I felt like I was doing wrongful things and I was hurting people
Mm,
for greed. But it also taught me a lot. It taught me drive, it taught me
mm,
hustle, it taught me um, just to be able to have the tenacity to invest. Like I'm like, man, if I can invest into this, like what's stopping me from investing to myself? You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So it kind of, it showed me that, you know, you can do this illegal business, but what's stopping you from doing the right thing and doing legitimate business, and I knew I had it in me from even doing that, but I just didn't know what the vehicle was going to be, so when it became real estate, I took a lot of what I've learned in the streets and I just, you know, put it towards something positive, towards something good. I mean, of course, you know, a lot of that negative stuff, you got to put behind you. But there are some positive that you can take out of it. We learn whether it's good or bad. You learn from mistakes. You learn from, trials and tribulations. So I was able to take a lot of what I went through in that period of my life into now my legitimate lifestyle, which is now real estate.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that the hustle was gonna be,
Yeah.
a part of that answer there, just because that's what it is. Like when you're just got to be hustling, and it's not going to just come. You can't just go show up to Home Depot and they're going to tell you what to do, and you're going to get a paycheck at the end of every other week or whatever that is. You got to go figure it out on the streets. I
Yeah.
I
And you
guess
develop
that's what it translates here.
you develop a certain type of mentality, you know what I'm saying, when you're in the
Mm,
streets. Sometimes, like you gotta have a certain type of mentality when you're in business. Like business is hard, it's not easy,
yeah.
and you gotta develop thick skin, and you gotta be able to have a certain type of mindset while you're in business. And, going through what I went through when I was in that, street life, it helped me become a stronger person, mentally, to go through what I'm going through now in business.
Mm, I love that. You mentioned some, yeah, I think you called them mistakes on your first deal or two. Would you care to explain what those were, like, real quickly? So maybe some people listening, can avoid those?
You talking about my first wholesale deal or my first flip deal or both?
Well, I think yeah, both of them. Yeah, I think you said
Yeah.
each one had its own
Yeah. So
mistakes.
I definitely covered that. So on my first flip, that was the one I spoke about that I did back in '07,
Mhm.
and right before the crash in '08. So with that one, the mistakes that I made was being that it's a flip project. Now I know that you have to have a full scope of work. I know you have to, hire the right contractors to be able to give you the right estimates. I was guessing all of my estimates. I was guessing my retail budget. I was, guessing the time it's gonna take to fix it. I didn't have the proper crew. I literally had like maybe two guys doing the whole project instead of subcontracting multiple people that's, you know, dealing in the fields that they deal in, and when you're rehabbing a property, you never want to get somebody who does everything. You want to be able to get, if it's a plumber, you want to stick with that plumber, let him do the plumbing stuff. Electric, let the electrician do what he do. Let the heating and air guy do what he do. Not somebody who say I'll do everything and just let them just take on the full project, So that was one of the mistakes I made. And, those type of mistakes will cause you to get off your timeline, to get off budget, to get, to where you're, well over your head into this project. And um, of course, listing the property at the right price, because it took me months and months to be able to sell it right before the crash happened. Luckily, I did sell it. So those are some of the mistakes that I made with the first flip project. Like I say, not hiring the right people, budgeting properly, not having a real team, that can analyze it, not really knowing the true values of the comps in the area. Like I was going off what I had a real estate agent, but I was going off some of her numbers. You have to do your own research. You have to know your own numbers. If you're going to invest into any project, you have to know these things. Everything that I've talked about, you have to know these numbers. Numbers is
Mhm.
everything. You have to buy right. I feel like I bought okay, but I could have bought way better. Because in real estate, you make your money on the buy, not the sell. If you don't buy right, you lose money already before you even the project
Yeah.
starts. So I would have offered way less than I offered. If I was knowledgeable about that, I think I may have offered what they was asking for if I can remember. But I don't never ask for nobody. I don't never offer what nobody's asking for unless it's a smoking hot deal and it's in a great area, and it's of course it's high demand properties. But other than that, I'm always looking for a bargain. I'm always looking for a deal. But again, I didn't know negotiation back then. I didn't know none of that stuff. And then fast forward to my first wholesale deal, the reason why it took me 9 months. So I did get some properties under contract within the first, bless you, within the first 3 to 6 months. I did get some properties under contract. But um being that this was my first deal, it was hard for me to find a buyer for some of those deals. And then when I did get the property that I did sell, and I got those two under contract, which it was two deals. I ended up getting in touch with a seller, called me from a postcard, and she had held my postcard and said she had it for like 6 months ago, and I had been in the business 9 months. So
Yeah.
she had got it what 3 months prior to that ninth month. So she was asking me, was I still in the business? And I was like, yeah, I'm still in the business. So she ended up having two properties. Unfortunately, her husband was dying of cancer, and they was trying to liquidate all the properties so they could have medical expenses because
Mm.
he was getting sick. So they ended up selling me both properties. I made 5K on one, 6K on the other one. So it was a net profit of 11K. Um, but it took me a while to sell those first couple of deals because I was trying to be greedy. I was trying to, how you hear like, oh, you can make 20, $30,000. So I felt like I need to mark everything up 20, $30,000. But
Yeah.
I was overpricing, meaning that it was harder for me to sell. And then when it's harder for me to sell, now you're getting sellers that's frustrated because you haven't sold the property yet, or you
Yeah.
haven't been able to fulfill your commitment. So a couple of contracts fell through, and then when I got these ones that I did close, another thing that I didn't do was I didn't leverage other wholesalers. So I think anybody that's getting started, you should always be leveraging other wholesalers. You should always be leveraging real estate agents. Anybody that's in the network, anybody that's doing business, you have to leverage everything. Again, without a mentor, I was trying to tackle everything by myself. My prices wasn't right. What I was trying to sell the property for, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any mentorship. And then my ways of marketing the deal, I was only marketing, I think at the time, like on Craigslist, and I put out a couple
Yeah.
of signs, a couple of bandit signs, but I didn't have a buyers list. I didn't build a buyers list. So, um, just tons of mistakes like that, overpricing properties, not analyzing the market correctly, not making the right offers. Like I said, some of those offers I could have got lower in price, but I was, when you just getting started and you want to get your first deal closed, your goal is just to put a property on the contract. Sometimes, even if it's at the wrong price, you just like, I will get a
Yeah.
contract. But
Yeah.
sometimes that's not the right approach, because
Yeah.
just because you can get any property on the contract, but that doesn't mean you're gonna sell it. So
Yeah. That's something I want to give a shout out to Yolanda, one of the people that's listening live right now, is that she's had some opportunities to do just that. And she's done her due diligence. She's brought a couple of them to me, and we've looked at them together and like, I hate to say it, but like, this isn't a deal. It's not a deal yet. And
yeah,
she could have just said, yeah, they're asking 90. Okay, we'll do 90. And then
yeah.
not been able to do anything with it, just like you're saying. So kudos, Yolanda, for you. Um, it sounds like the an overarching theme here is having somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, go, hey, what's the next step here? I went out and I got a contract. Now what? Kind of having a coach, a mentor, which again, I want to get to, but I have a couple other questions before we get to that. This is not quite the segue yet. For that, you you talked about getting out of your environment, or the people that you're around, the people that you surround yourself with are the biggest influences on you, and you're a product of your environment. I'm still wrapping my head. Was it really your wife that pulled you out of that? Was it the nightclub that you kind of invested yourself in and went to Alabama that pulled you out of that? And then when you come back to Atlanta, what keeps you from just going right back into that group?
Yeah, that was, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That was like one of the most depressed times of my life, because you gotta understand, like, I was so used to getting money one way. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna pause that, and then I'm gonna try to do things the right way. But then when that didn't work either, quite naturally, you want to gravitate back to what you know does work, which was the
Mhm.
streets at the time. But I had to really like mentally get in a place where I really had to commit and say, I'm just not going to do it. And a lot of people didn't believe me. A lot of people was like, nah, you'll be back. Nah, you're going to get back started. But I had a belief. And, again, having the right people around you, we've been talking about that. So I had, somebody in my corner that was doing right and was encouraging me that I could be better, and I'll figure it out. And she believed in me, even at times when I didn't really believe. So again, going back to environment, if you around people that's pouring into you, and, allowing and mentally, pouring into you mentally as well, then that helps. And, we also, grew a relationship with God, which I, give all the credit for, like that changed everything, because at the time before that, I mean, I always believed in God, but I wasn't really studying, and I really wasn't trying to, you know, get closer to God at the time, because sometimes when you in a certain lifestyle, you feel guilty even trying to worship God because of what you're doing. So you're
Mm,
like, man, I don't even want to build this relationship because I know I'm not doing right. So but the way I've learned now is like, God don't judge you. He, loves you for who you are. But again, we are responsible for our mistakes. We are responsible for, what we do. But I know that, through it all, he loves me. And I had to learn that, and be free and don't be, you know, hold yourself, you gotta hold yourself accountable, but you gotta be free and not, you know, break down like I did. It was times where I was crying, what I'm saying? It was times
mm,
where I was like crying because I couldn't figure it out. But through a lot of prayer, you know, um, God, eventually sent me the right direction to lead towards. So
yeah, that's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that, man. It's a a lot of the people that come to these are on their same journey. They're on a journey as well, myself being included. So hearing stories like that is inspiring, and it's just helpful that like, hey, if he could get out of that situation, and God was able to touch him and provide people and experiences that were able to help him get out of that situation, like why the heck can't I? Um, Yolanda asks, you've mentioned that you've done a lot of strategies already in real estate. Is there anything that you're looking to kind of conquer in the future? I'm thinking, I'm inferring here, but like commercial, RV parks, I don't know, anything like that that's like, oh, I'd like to try that.
I think the only thing that I haven't touched yet, and I've been contemplating on it, is new construction. You know,
Okay.
that's one of the things I've done. Of course, tons of rehabs, but I haven't done like a from the ground up like new build. So I have been contemplating on that for a very long time. Still praying on it. You know, waiting for God to give me confirmation on it. I even got like I bought four acres a long time ago, not far from where I live, and it's in like a commercial area. And I had even thought about like maybe even building a townhome community on that land. So it was just something that I thought about, but haven't really fully committed yet. But if I were to say anything that hadn't done yet that I would think about trying, that would probably be it, is, doing a new construction project.
Yeah. Awesome. I like it keeps in the back of my mind too. Like, I feel like we could do this for cheaper if we just bought the plot of land and built it ourselves to exactly how we wanted it. But
Yeah.
that's in the future too. Like one thing at a time, get laser focused on one thing and grow that thing as best you can, and then kind of pivot. At least that's where I'm at. We have mentioned it a handful of times now. You have a school community that you do wholesaling, coaching through, just real estate investing, coaching through. Would you tell us a little bit about that? For anybody listening that's interested, you can find the link to that in the description as Will is chatting about it.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, one of the things that I'm real passionate about is just giving back. I always just be like, how can I get back? How can I get back? Because God blessed me with the ability to be successful in real estate.
Mm.
So, now it's like my whole, you know, now what I aspire to do is just, help other people become financially free through real estate. And at the time, I didn't really have a lot of resources when I first started. Like now there's tons of resources out there. There's tons of YouTube videos, other communities and stuff like that. But I know when I first got started, I didn't have a lot of money. I think I had maybe a few $100s when I first started. So a lot of stuff I was doing just trial and error, just a lot of grunt work, working with a small budget. So I was like, I want to kind of, create in a community where a person don't have to worry about like having to just, they'll have my mentorship based on the resources that I provide. But then really some people just, they want to get a mentor, but they just need to get the ball rolling first. They need to get that first deal under their belt. So the goal is just to get them in the community, using some of the free resources that I have in there. I have my ebook in there. I got, course in there. I got some contract templates in there. So just enough just to get them started, get them through that first deal. And then once they have the capital, now they can invest either back into a mentor or they can invest back into their marketing. Um, so that's the purpose of me. I just started the community maybe a month and a half ago. And it's a free community that, again, for anybody that's wanting to get into, start wholesaling houses. Uh, my goal now is just to put out as much content as possible. So between my YouTube channel, between the community, between my social media, my Instagram, my TikTok, like between all of those, like my goal, like my
Sure,
mentor
no.
said, you need to be putting out more. He said your free content need to be better than people's paid content. So
Yeah.
I try to get that much value.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that the school is only a few weeks old, or 6 weeks old at this point. So like, it's just getting started. Whatever you see in there, like this is just the beginning right now. As like you just said, like I'm gonna keep adding to it. I'm gonna keep iterating. Maybe the template that I give you now, this isn't the final version. This is just, I wanted to make sure that when you come to the group, you have something that you can go get started with right now. So I love that. If you were to if you were to get a first deal done from your experience, would you go seek a mentor? Would you go advertise, for the business to try to get your next deal? Or would you, I don't know the answer. Go buy a Lamborghini. No, I'm just, would you put it into growing yourself or growing your business essentially? Well, yeah, that's
That's a really good question. It really depends on, well, it depends on, you're saying if you have already closed a deal, or you saying before you close a deal?
yeah, let's say I come into your community, it takes me a couple months, a few months, whatever. I close my first deal. Do I go, "Hey, let's join the paid community," or do I go, "Well, let's start sending some mailers out," or whatever the advertising of my choice is?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, of course, the cost of the mentorship, because I would say go in that direction, because if you can close one deal, that means if you the right guidance and the right teaching, you can scale that up, faster than you would by yourself. But if the coaching program is too much, or you don't based on what you make off your first deal, you may have to just focus on replicating what you did to get to that first deal. So I would double down on whatever that is, put more money into the marketing, and that way, you can try to do the same thing you just did to get to that first deal, to try to get to the second or third deal. So I always say, invest into yourself, and invest in yourself. Again, it is mentorship, but sometimes it might mean just investing into your business, investing into marketing. So you can never go wrong with that either. Put money back into your business, put money back into your marketing, because now the proof of concept, is real. Like, some people don't believe it. They see other people doing deals, but they don't believe they can do it. But when you close your first deal, like, that shuts all of that down. Now you see that this is reality, has now come true. So now, that's what happened to me. Like, when I made that first 11K, put probably half of that back into marketing, so now I was able to scale from there. So I don't think either or. I mean, again, it depends on the price of the program. So I would say, if you could afford, like, if it's a few $1,000s, mentorship, or if it's a paid community that's going to add more value, then yeah, I would do that. But um, try to replicate what you did the first time. Try to double down on what you try to do the first time. Because one thing I do see people do is, they'll something will work, and then they chase the shiny object, and now they start trying to do all these other things. Like, for instance, like, let's say that their first deal, let's say their first deal came from texting. So now, instead of doubling down on texting, now they want to go do Facebook ads. They want to, start a PPC campaign. They want to,
Yeah.
start doing all these other things, because they got money now that they can invest more things. But why not double down on what's already worked?
Yep.
Right. Until you able to get it to where it's scalable, and then you can go into other channels. Because when you first starting out, you shouldn't be doing more than two marketing channels. I mean, preferably become an expert in one, but and then gradually go into the second. But you shouldn't be doing like 4 or 5
Yeah.
things at one time.
Yeah.
You'll get burnt out fast that way. Burnt out of money fast. If you
Yeah,
don't know
and
what you're
spent
doing.
out. Yeah. Yeah. I I I didn't have somebody that told me that when I first got started. And I haven't done all the marketing channels, but pretty much I've done all the marketing channels, and they all worked, which is the a little sad thing is, but, like, after everyone worked, I pivoted. Okay, direct mail, got a deal. Let's go try cold calling. Okay, let's go try Google SEO. Let's go try Google PPC. Let's go try Facebook ads. Just yeah, and then you end up as I didn't even end up as a jack of all trades. I just ended up closing a deal or whatever from all of them instead of a master of any of them. But I will
Right.
digress on that. I as I asked you that question, the previous one, as I ended it, I'm like, well, if you go hire a mentor or you go hire a coach or whatever, you are putting money back in the business as well because you're growing yourself and you're the leader, you're the CEO of that business. So I love I've been able to apply things that I learned in the different coaching programs, get different mentorships to all the aspects of my life. That's what has really been amazing for me is like I've joined real estate coaching programs, real estate mentorships that have improved my health and wellness, that have improved my relationships with my wife, with my kids. So I'm all about I think I already mentioned it. I'm gonna beat the dead horse though. Like put money into somebody that can pour into you. And then you can go pour into your business. You can go pour into your employees, your teammates, right? That's enough of that. Um,
Well,
what do you I know you have a paid school community as well, correct?
yes.
What does that run a month? Because I know they're on a monthly basis.
Yeah, ours is like 97 or 997 for the year. And it just guys,
Okay.
I have like about 5 or 6 courses inside of there, and it's more. We do coaching calls and the free one as well, but those coaching calls are just me just teaching and everybody's listening and learning. But with the
Mhm.
other one, the paid one is more Q&A. You get more interaction, and things of that sort, and just more support, and I have courses also inside of the paid one that's touching on fixing and flipping. That's also touching on rentals. So if somebody ever aspire to want to do either one of those, I got, content in there about that. I got, content in there about creative financing. I know you creative finance guys. I have something in there about that. I have something in there about novations. So just a little bit more advanced strategies. The free one is just strictly just somebody who just gets started with wholesaling and wanted to get their feet wet, and then the paid one just has a little bit more advanced strategies, advanced teachings in there, and more um, Q&A when it comes to the calls that I do on there.
I love it. We're coming kind of towards the end here of the episode. I want to ask, we're a few months into, well, we're a couple and change months into 2025 right now. Do you have some big 2025 goals that you're looking to achieve either on the real estate side of things, on the coaching side of things, maybe something, personal? I like to have you throw it out there live on networking with Nathaniel so we could hold you accountable.
Yeah, I just just getting started with the coaching and everything. So I just really want to quadruple my reach. Meaning tons more, thousands more members
Mm.
on social media, 1,000 more members, on my YouTube channel, 1,000 more members. And again, my reason for wanting thousands of more members is not for my own selfish gain. It's really to be able to reach and help more people. I feel the more people that I'm attached to or I'm associated with, the more people that I feel I can help. So
Mm.
that's really the reason why I just want more reach from that standpoint. And real estate, just acquiring more properties. I have some properties that's still that I'm working on trying to get finished. Some rental properties I want to get those completed. I really don't want to get into too many more bigger projects until that's done, because that's income coming in. So I want to get those completed, and that's it. I mean, it's just pretty simple, man.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, I lost my train of thought there. Man, that's 2 weeks in a row now. I just had a complete brain shutdown.
It happens, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned the, growing the socials, that way you can touch more people. I feel the same way, like, I see my numbers on Instagram and YouTube. Those are the 2, well, on Facebook, those are the ones that I focus on the most. I'm not on TikTok and I'm not on X. Um, but yeah, the more people I can touch from helping them out, getting started in real estate as a wholesaler, as a buyer, getting their money to work for them. Maybe they have a W-2 and they've always been interested in real estate, but they don't really know how to do it, how to go about it. If I can help them get invested in a project we're doing and they can get better returns on their money, the more people that I can touch, the more of those opportunities that I can help people out with. And so I love that that's where your mentality is. I don't want to grow my YouTube channel because I'm trying to make advertising money from YouTube.
Right.
That's not even on my, it's not even in my ballpark at all. I just want to create more opportunities for myself, for my company, for my employees, and for all the other people that are coming into that fold, because that's what this
Because
is. I
And the
put
way I
you in.
look at it, Nathaniel, man, I'm already successful in real estate. I don't have nothing to prove. So right now it's all
Mhm.
about impact and purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Impact and purpose, that's what it's about. I'm successful already, not to brag or nothing like that, but I don't have nothing to prove. It ain't nothing, I'm blessed, so
Yeah.
it's really just about impact, purpose, and just trying to inspire people who want to, become financially free as well. So that's really what it's
I love
about.
it.
It just
Yeah. And we were talking about your channel, your YouTube channel, prior to going live here. Is it also at Uncle Bill Buys Houses? Or
it's
what's
the name of the channel is Real Estate Pays Me, and it's probably up under my name, Will Galloway. But the name of the
okay.
channel is Real Estate Pays Me. The goal of the channel is, like the title says, it's just a goal. I want everybody who's listening to figure out a way to get paid in real estate. And I touch on wholesaling in there. I touch on fix and flips, and I touch on rentals. So I touch on all three aspects in that channel. I just give tips and information.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think I'm
I love
probably about. I just started that one too. I'm about probably about 7, 8 episodes in right now.
Yeah, and this was like we were chit chatting before we went live here, and something that I gathered from you is that you're the type of person that you may read it or you hear it from somebody else, and then you're like, let me go implement, let me go figure out how this is going to work. You're an action taker before, I'm going to go take step one before I know two, three, four, five, six. And so that was something that really touched me early on in just our conversations that like, with the YouTube, I'm going to open up a channel. I'm going to start putting content out there. I'm going to try to provide value to people. What happens with that and where it goes, we'll see. But let me take step one. You did it with the
Now I
school
will say this.
community.
I know you've been. I know you've been talking about mentorship, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate to say it, but I've been a bit procrastinator most of my life and not really an
Ah,
action taker. And my mentor is the one who inspired me
okay.
to become, an action taker and get out of that procrastination. So you've been touching on mentorship for a long time. I believe I do give my mentor the credit for that. Like he pushed
Mm,
me to he inspired me to take action, even when I wanted to be a perfectionist, even when I felt like it wasn't the right time, even when I was trying to just make all these excuses not to start. Now I look at things like we were talking about earlier, just take action, you know what I'm saying? And make mistakes, figure it out later, do it scared,
yeah.
just do it, you'll figure it out as you go. Don't try to be a perfectionist, don't try to, stall, don't try to come up with all these reasons why it's not time. Like the time is always now, what I'm saying? But tomorrow's
Hmm.
not promised. So I'm
Yeah.
just at a point of my life where I don't want to live with no regrets. Anything that I've ever wanted to do, as long as it's not illegal or not harming nobody, I'm gonna do it. And that's kind of where I am in life right now.
Yeah. I love that. I like it reminds me of Dwell, if you're listening in the future here, a guy that was in my weekly coaching call, but I call it a coaching call. It's helping hands hour. I do kind of coach people along. Um, but he was in a couple weeks back and I was like, dude, hang up, like get out of the call right now, turn your phone around, talk into it. It's just one thing that you learned from the call. He's like, I don't know, I can't do it. On doing it on Instagram. Like, dude, you just got to do it. Get off the call, turn your phone around. And like 10 minutes later, he had tagged me in a post. I'm like, it just like, yeah, it warmed my heart a little bit. It makes me almost teary eyed. Where I'm going to get off of that one now. We talked about it prior to going live here. I always like to ask guests on the podcast for some book recommendations, whether that be, business, real estate, mindset, just personal development, or just something that like, hey, I really liked this book. It was an interesting tale about pirates capturing teddy bears from the underwater. I made something. Yeah.
It's a lot of books that I've read. Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, um, Think and Grow Rich, of course, was an inspiration of mine. It was a book, Automatic Millionaire, that I read a long time ago. Of course,
Okay.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is a real estate classic, of course. Um,
No excuse.
there's so many different ones. I'm trying to think of a couple more. Traction helped me in business. Traction helped me in business. One of my favorite books of all time, which I read every day, is the Bible. Yeah. That's of course the
Yeah.
best-selling book of all time. So I still read my scriptures every single day. So that's the thing that keeps me going. When I'm feeling a certain kind of way, I'll go to a scripture to kind of get me back in my right perspective or my right mindset. So that's something I read every day. And scaling up, 12-week year,
Mm.
rhinoceros success. Oh,
Wait,
it's so many.
rhinoceros success?
Rhinoceros success. Yeah, one of my mentors, he told me about that book.
Yes. Success. I realize as I'm trying to write this down is I don't know how to spell rhinoceros, but that's okay. I think
Sound hard as you
people will
see
figure it out.
it.
If it's rhinoceros success.
Sounds hard as you said it.
Yeah,
The One
I
Thing by
appreciate.
Gary Keller.
uh,
You
Yeah,
know,
that one's actually sitting on my thing right there.
Miracle Morning. That's another one that helped me out. That Miracle Morning book helped me become a morning person. I've never been a morning person, so the Miracle Morning helped me become a morning person.
I can't fit any more on my page, so no more.
I can feed that
Uh,
close.
yeah, so we mentioned your YouTube channel being Real Estate Pays Me. If you can't find it for some reason or that, Will Galloway is the name, but I will link it in the future. It's not currently linked on the live YouTube description. On IG, Instagram, your Uncle Bill buys houses. Is that TikTok and the
Yeah,
other platforms as well? Okay.
yeah.
And then Will Galloway on Facebook. He's tagged on my page. So if you want to find him there and follow what he's doing on Facebook there. As we round out the episode here, Will, when your time on this earth is done and God willing, you go up to heaven to be with him, what do you want to be remembered for by the people that you're left behind here?
I just want to be remembered as a loving, caring, giving person. That's why, I built my portfolio up so when I am, gone, that my loved ones will be able to reap the benefits. So I just want it to be thought about, because one of the things that I can always remember is like when my grandfather passed, uh, he left, a fortune behind for my mom and her brothers. And my mom was able to bless us with some of the money that she got from that. So I just saw how that impacted my family. It didn't impact them losing him, but it impacted what he left behind. So you want to always not just be remembered for that, but you just want to be remembered as just a hardworking, honorable man who was family first
Mm.
and who walked in love on this earth and treated people, the right way, and just, was a person of inspiration and motivated people. So hopefully, when my day comes, that I'm remembered by all those things.
I love it. I appreciate you being here, brother. You are
Appreciate it.
yeah, you're inspiring for not only myself. Hopefully there's other people out here that are hearing this and going to be impacted by your words and your testimony as well. Is there anything you have that you want to leave us with?
Not just anybody who's listening, just keep going. Put God first in everything that you do. I don't believe I would have got this far without putting God first. We talked about having the right people around us. You know, remove yourself from environments you don't belong in and start adapting into ones that you do. And I would just say, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. I could have gave up. It took me 9 months to do my first deal. Just imagine if I would have quit. So, you know, just keep going. Don't quit. That's one thing I would say. That sucks when you quit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only time. Once you quit, that's when you lose. Otherwise, you're still in the
You
game, you're
lose.
still playing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
thing. You
like,
you always in the game, man. Like even if it
yeah,
take you a year and a half, like you still in the game. You might be like, I haven't
yep,
did it yet, but you still in the game because you haven't
yep.
quit yet.
That's it. I'm like, I don't know if you're familiar with the little picture, but there's two miners and they're like this far and one is turned now and he's got his axe over his shoulder and he's like that far from hitting all the gems.
And that came from
Like,
3 feet from gold. That came from
is
3
it
feet from
okay?
gold. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yeah. So it's just uh, anytime I talk about the subjects, like just keep going, that goes right into my head. It's such a great image. It's
I posted that image a long time ago on my social
did
media.
you?
You reminded me of it. I might have to repost it again.
It's a good one. It'll hit traction. I appreciate you, brother. If you can hang out for a little bit, I'd love to chat with you a little bit afterwards. If I understand if you gotta go, I'm gonna boot you off, do a little wrap up here, and I'll see you in a second. That was Will Galloway. Uncle Bill buys houses. Amazing story that he's got. We didn't get to touch to it, but he did mention it a handful of times there, just like sticking with it, sticking with it. You know, he said he talked about this deal that came to him from 6 months ago from a postcard that he did. You never know where in the process these people that you've talked to are. So it's about taking consistent action, doing your follow-ups, especially if you're wholesaling, you're marketing, you're going direct to seller, or even direct to agent, like follow up, follow up, follow up. You never know when that phone call is going to happen where they're like, yep, I'm ready to sell now. You want to be the one that's top of mind to them. So stick with it, put consistent actions in. If you're struggling with what actions to take, come tomorrow to Helping Hands Hour. noon, Thursdays, Eastern time. I realized as I'm saying that there might be people listening to this on Saturday that are like, oh, something's happening tomorrow. No, it's Thursdays, noon Eastern time. You can go to nathanielhovsepian.com, find the link for that there. I hope to see y'all in there. Check out Will's YouTube channel. Check out his Instagram page. He is constantly dropping value out there. That is how we met in the first place. Until next week, appreciate y'all.